so much for speaking with me.
No
You
problem.
had What a powerful episode for Mabel. You came in, you left a mark. It was something.
That's what I've been hearing.
So what we do know is that it's teased. There's more to this character than just the average churchgoer. And so I wanted to know whether or not was this an affair? Was this about lust? Or was this about destruction?
Ooh, come on with the questions. Yes. I really believe it's a little of both. It's a little of it all that you mentioned. For me, as I created Mabel, I knew on the surface, it would be easy to say, she's just a homewrecker, period, right? And so, of course, I had, as an actor, I'm like, okay, well, how do I humanize her? What's the story here? And what I created for her it's this kind of thing of hurt people, right? So what we'll find out later in the season, of course, is what she's been through with her own marriage and betrayal and being cheated on. And even though you have been so hurt, it's that thing, you'd be like, I would never do that to somebody, but then you go around and do it. It's that cycle that keeps happening. I do believe that, Mabel certainly has remorse. There's, she's torn at points, but then there is that, what, I just want what you have, my thing didn't work out and I want what you have. And playing kind of the long game for it, being very patient, and knowing she's going to get what she wants, because she always gets what she wants, so
Okay.
it's been very, very fun crafting those levels to her, for sure.
Can you say whether or not her jealousy blinds her in the future and it makes her actions more powerful?
Absolutely. We're going to see as she comes to terms with where the relationship with Charles heads, that, she starts having to deal with her own demons, basically. But I think, she's absolutely blinded. She's blinded by her drive, her drive to get what she wants, no matter the cost. And then afterward, it's this feeling of, shoot, like, I did it again. In my creation of Mabel, I believe that this is not the first affair she's had with somebody. I believe this is something that keeps happening. And then at the same time, she's wondering why she doesn't have the love that she desires and the life that she wants, because she's sabotaging it in a way. So I think that helped me create some nice levels there to her.
Now, this is, you met him through church. And so I was wondering, is there salvation within the character as to why she is having this affair based, you know what I mean? The connection to the church as opposed to random Randy on the street?
Well, I want to just make sure we're clear, because as I was looking at some of the comments on social media, I could tell at episode 3, a lot of audience members thought the woman in church playing in the band was also Mabel. And those are two different people. Okay. So for any as people watch, so they're clear on that. And it'll get very clear in episode 5, of course. But I think for me, it was the connection and the relationship to Lucille, and coming and being close to Lucille, and then seeing what she's had. And trust me, clearly we see their life is not perfect. The house is in disrepair. There's drama with the sons. But for me, I think it's just this thing of, wow, I wish I had this, and just having such a one-track mind on getting what she wants in her mind. And so for me, in my creation, I keep saying my creation because I love building characters. The church has nothing to do with it for Mabel. This is just about her desires, her lust, her drive, by any means necessary.
Okay, so then with the creation of the character, I really wanted to know what drives her.
Winning, getting what she wants. Someone asked, like, do you have was there anything about you that connected you to her? And for me, as I was like, I feel like she's just tenacious. She's just driven. And once she puts her eyes on a prize, she wants that. And that's the desire. That's the thing that fuels her in life. And so if that means she has to get up and move to another state, another city, she'll do that, as long as she is focused on getting the outcome that she desires.
Okay, so what specifically can you say that she wants from Charles? that she can get from him that maybe is temporary fulfillment?
Yeah, I mean, love, affection, to be desired, to be adored, to be cared for excitement, all those things. She sees how he provides for his family, how he, goes to bat for his kids, and that's just very desirable. And that's what she wants until she doesn't want it anymore.
Okay.
You know?
So
Yeah.
what we do know is that there's more to meet the eye than a character. And so I was wondering, when they give you the scripts, is it all at once and then you build the character from there? Or is it script by script and you form out who she is?
Great question. Well, how this process worked, every TV show is different, and we do get script by script by script. But what was very helpful before I accepted this role, I took a meeting with our showrunner, Randy Huggins, and Heather, who sat me down, because when you get an audition as an actor, you don't get, especially for something that's going to recur throughout a season, they'll give you a scene from this episode and one from there and one from there to make sure that you as the actor can show that range. And so before I accepted the role, I was like, whoa, I have some questions. Like, where's this role headed? Like, you know what I mean? I see what's on this paper, but I need to know before I say yes. And we had such a great conversation, and they gave me the story arc. So when the writers are in the writer's room, they know the story arc for every character. Now they may have to fill in the blanks with, some exposition and per episode, but at least they know what the journey is. And so that was so helpful to me. So even though I didn't have the scripts all at once, because they were still being written as we went, I knew where it was going to end. And so that allowed me to create so that my performance, and the storytelling of Mabel would not be just, flat and one note. I wanted you to take this ride with us. And so that's how that worked.
So do you play it without so you know the journey beforehand, but do you play it as a character without filling in those blanks? You just stay in that moment?
Well, another great question. Well, I think every actor is different, but for me, the challenge for us as actors is to not what we call it, play a beat before it's needed. Meaning, even though I know what's going to happen in episode 6, I can't play that moment ahead of time. I can't ruin it for the audience. So I have to be so present. So for me, as I mark up a script and figure out, what my motivation is and my objectives and all that stuff, I just only let myself see that script in that moment. Okay, and what's happening here, and how, okay, we see in episode 5, you see me 3 times. Okay, well, what's different about each time that you see me? And I just focus on that. And I don't play anything ahead of time, because that would not be true to the moment and to the beat. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, you also are a coach for young actors, and you have the Hollywood Bound is your creation. And so I wanted to know, how does that fuel both what you do behind the scenes and in camera?
Thank you for asking about that. Yes, Hollywood Bound Actors, that's my baby, that's my company. And it's actually not young actors, it's just actors who want to do what I do. Actually, I have clients who are 70 years old. I actually don't coach young people. Actually, most of my clients are like 30 plus. And what fuels me is I want to lift as I climb. I struggled a lot in the beginning. I've had some great mentors, but I also went through times in my life where I felt lost, confused, talented, but no agent, talented, no auditions, and feeling just freaking confused. And I promised myself that I would not do that, and I would help. So I have clients that I coach privately. I host conferences once a year in Atlanta called Booking Magnet Live. And I want to see people win. I love that. Right. And I operate from an abundant mindset. There's enough for everybody. You can't take what's mine. Right. So as I win, my clients see me winning, and what they see is a possibility. They see a Black woman who they can touch. Oh, she's real. If you can do it, I can do it. And that truly, more than anything, is such a blessing. And I'm so grateful. And that's why I still do it even as I act full time. I have an amazing staff who helps and supports me. Like right now I'm in South Africa, so they're holding it down for me. But I'm like, we can all get it. We can all get it.
I like that. And so I was wondering, what lessons have you learned by playing Mabel that fuels you not as just an actress, but as a person and a coach?
What lessons have I learned from Mabel? That's a good question. I would say one of Mabel's biggest downfalls is that she has not really taken the time to go within. Because I believe if she were to heal the wound that she has, her life would totally change. And so I believe that role in creating her reminds me that I have my own wounds, you have yours. And so I think if that's the lesson, if I have to pull one out, is take time to heal the wound, because it's showing up in your relationships, in your life, and it deserves that time, instead of just trying to cover it up with vices and bad habits, that kind of thing. So I would say that. Good question.
Thank you. So it's easy to judge Mabel as a homewrecker, but I wanted to know from you, what are her positive attributes that we may not see during her scene with Charles?
Right, we get blinded. I think what I love about her is she is vivacious. She's like the life of the party. She loves to see people smile. She's a wonderful storyteller. I think those are some of the things that she has an endearing quality. In episode 5, she tells Charles, like, hey, if you ever want to talk, I'm here. Like, that moment is sincere. Like, it's not just part of her plan. I believe she is a good listener. And that's, I believe, the positive thing she brings to her relationships. So, and I think if people go back to episode 1 and they remember her at the dinner table, they'll be reminded of the energy that she brings, even though I know it's going to be a rough road for Mabel and the fans. But, what I loved seeing is the fans get so engaged and so heated about it, because that means I'm doing a good job. When the fans can get that engaged, it's a good thing. So I just have to take it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The comments are not always nice. They come from me sometimes, but I know who I am, and I'm happy to do good work.
You also have a theater background as well, and also in musical theater.
Yes.
So what I wanted to know is, during that time period, what have you learned that you now put into film?
Wow, theater is such an amazing training ground. I started in the theater. I did Broadway with The Lion King and toured for many years. I would say the best, and this is something I actually teach my students, what theater teaches you is the art of repetition. Meaning, so in theater, you don't get takes. You get this one thing, it's live. If you mess up, you just mess up. But you have to do the same show every night. And I believe that really helps me in film and TV, because take after take, even if we say cut and we take a break for lunch and come back, you have to pick up from the moment you were in before lunch. And so that repetition, I believe I was trained in that doing theater, because you have to, one of my mentors, Freddie Hendricks, who has changed my life, would always say, you're only as good as your last performance. So you can't sit in the revelry of, my performance last night was great. Okay, what about tonight? What you gonna do tonight? Right? And so I also teach my students that your legacy is in the lens. So the work that we do on camera, no matter what's going on, no matter how hard your day is or what stress you're under, I hate to say it this way, but nobody cares. What you do on that lens, on the final product, what you all are watching on BMF, like, that's my legacy, and my craft. And I take that very seriously. And I believe all that was rooted in my training from the theater.
I like that. And so, can you tease whether there will be more interactions with Mabel and maybe the rest of the family, or any other characters that's coming up?
Yes, you're going to see a lot more Mabel. Mabel's not going anywhere. Not for quite a while. So I think the fans can expect, the relationship to get more intense, and then even a bit trying and challenging, as all relationships do. You know what I mean? It starts out great, and then life be lifing, right? Life happens. And so I think we're gonna see that journey and how that evolves their relationship, and also how it impacts the relationship with Lucille also.
Okay. Now, also, I'm kind of wondering, does Mabel truly, because there's a lot of things that needs fixing around the house. That's why she recruited Charles. Is that all true? Is that sincere, or was that a part of a plot?
I mean, we all need a handyman. We all need a handyman. I don't believe Mabel's up there unscrewing screws to just get somebody to screw it back. but I think it's one of those things where I don't think any repair is urgent, right? It's not urgent, but it's an excuse. And it's an excuse, and Charles obliges, and we take the journey from there.
Is she able to see the weakness in the marriage, or is it just by chance?
No, I believe she sees it. And she feels it. I mean, I think, and that's the part of the journey for Mabel that is calculated. You know, it's like any woman, you can see it. It's oozing off of people when someone's unhappy, frustrated, not haven't had sex in forever. Like it's just opens the door, you know, and you look, it's like, oh, now you're prey. And now I just wonder what I can do. So yeah, even because Lucille confides in her. Now we don't see a lot of that in the beginning of outside of that dinner scene in episode 1, but I imagine that these are friends. I come by that cast iron pan all the time. We have tea, we kiki, we talk. So she absolutely knows the state of it. Maybe she may not know every detail, of course, you know, but she knows enough.
Okay, well, there goes the boundaries right there. Good
Yeah.
Lord.
What boundaries?
And so kind of what the interesting thing about BMF is it focuses on a lot of different themes. We have social economics, we also have the police, we have obviously the drug business. So I was wondering, BMF overall, what was it that really attracted you to not just the character, but the show?
Well, you know, it's interesting because I'm on another show, Snowfall, where, you know, it's same time frame dealing with drugs. And I think also I lived in Atlanta since the 90s, and I remember in my 20s hanging out, partying, and BMF was around. Like I remember interacting with people from that whole crew. So for me, it was like, this is so cool. They're doing a show about this. You know, I remember, you know, even having any tiny piece being a part of history in the tiniest way just made me excited to be a part of the show. And you know what I love about this season specifically, the theme of it is seduction and temptation. And when they shared that with me before I signed on, it just intrigued me. And I wanted to see how that would play out with not just Mabel's character, but as with the show overall. And I think we really did a good job with that this season. The writers, gosh, you know, the theme is just, you know, elevate. Like our showrunner, Randy Huggins, just always say, we're here to elevate. We're here to elevate the writing. We're here to elevate the set and costume design, performances. And so I was excited to be a part of that for sure.
Do you feel that any character that you play is meant to educate others, to show the rise or the downfall of a particular way of thought?
I think that's what art does in general. I think art just opens us up to different perspectives, cultures, people, things we may not have ever experienced before. And I think that's just the power of art. So I would say, yeah.
Okay. Now we do know that later on BMF gets into the music industry. And so I was wondering if a song for Mabel, what would you think would be her theme song?
Well, you know, I actually use music to help create my characters, music and like, you know, animal body work to just create how my character moves and feels. So I can't pinpoint a specific song, but for me, as I was prepping her, I would go to YouTube and just put in like 80s dance music, like 80s, like I just imagine Mabel loves to go to the disco, right? So what is she dancing to? That's why I love that she gets to dance so much in the show. Like it's not just that's not just all seduction. Like she just loves to dance. She loves to party. She loves to, you know, have fun. So for me, any kind of 80s party music would be the soundtrack for Mabel.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for speaking to me. I look forward to more shenanigans with your character.
I'm excited for you to see it and for the fans to see it, and everybody just needs to keep watching our Black Mafia Fridays. It's getting juicier and juicier, and I'm here for the comment section. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.